Osama bin Laden was the leader of a terrorist group called Al-Qaeda. This group was responsible for many attacks around the world. The most famous attack was on September 11, 2001 in the United States. Al-Qaeda terrorists hijacked airplanes and crashed them into the World Trade Center in New York City and the Pentagon in Virginia. Thousands of innocent people died that day. Because of this, bin Laden became the most wanted man in the world. The United States and its allies started a global manhunt to find him and bring him to justice for his terrible crimes. This search would last for nearly 10 long years, involving countless people. Finding one man in the entire world is a very difficult job. Intelligence agencies like the CIA worked day and night to find clues. They searched in many countries, especially in the mountains between Afghanistan and Pakistan. For years, there were very few good leads. It seemed like bin Laden had vanished completely. Agents followed every small piece of information, hoping it would lead to a breakthrough. They listened to phone calls, read messages, and talked to many people who might know something. It was a slow and often frustrating process, but the agents never gave up on their important mission to locate the world's most dangerous terrorist. The big break came from a very small detail. The intelligence agents learned that bin Laden did not use phones or the internet. He was afraid of being tracked. Instead, he used trusted people to carry his messages for him. These people were called couriers. The agents decided to focus on finding these couriers. After many years of patient work, they identified one of his most trusted couriers. By following this man, they hoped he would eventually lead them to bin Laden's hiding place. This strategy was a huge gamble, but it was their best chance to finally close in on their target after so many years of searching. The agents tracked the courier for months. They watched his every move from a great distance. Finally, the courier led them to a large, unusual compound in a town called Abbottabad in Pakistan. The compound had very high walls topped with barbed wire. It was much larger than other houses in the area, and it had extra security measures. The people inside burned their trash instead of putting it out for collection, which was very suspicious. The agents believed that someone very important was hiding inside. They thought it was highly possible that this was the secret home of Osama bin Laden, a place he had been living in for several years right under everyone's noses. Once the compound in Abbottabad was identified, the next phase of the mission began. This was a period of intense and secret planning. President Barack Obama was informed about the possible location of bin Laden. He met with his top national security advisors many times to discuss what to do. They had to be very sure that bin Laden was actually inside before they could risk a dangerous military operation. The United States government did not tell Pakistan about the compound. They wanted to keep the mission a complete secret to ensure its success and prevent any information from leaking out and warning bin Laden. The mission was given the codename Operation Neptune Spear. A special team of elite soldiers, the United States Navy SEALs, was chosen to carry out the raid. These soldiers are among the best trained in the world. They specialize in secret, high-risk missions. The SEALs began to practice for the raid immediately. A full-size replica of the compound was built at a secret training site in the United States. The team practiced the raid over and over again, at night, just as they would do in the real mission. They planned for every possible problem, from equipment failure to resistance from people inside the compound. The biggest challenge was getting the soldiers into Pakistan without being seen. The plan was to use special helicopters designed to be very quiet and difficult to see on radar. These were called stealth helicopters. They would fly low and fast from a base in Afghanistan, crossing into Pakistan under the cover of darkness. The journey was long and dangerous. If they were detected by the Pakistani military, the mission could fail and it could cause a major international incident. The pilots and the SEAL team had to be perfect in their execution. Every detail was carefully planned to minimize risk and maximize the chance of success. After weeks of careful planning and debate, President Obama made the final decision. On April 29, 2011, he gave the order to go ahead with the raid. The risk was very high. If bin Laden was not in the compound, the mission would be a major embarrassment and could damage relations with Pakistan. But if he was there, it would be a huge victory in the fight against terrorism. The president and his team knew the stakes were enormous, but they believed the intelligence was strong enough to proceed. The brave SEALs were ready to put their lives on the line to complete their historic task. On the night of May 1, 2011 in the United States, the mission began. It was already the early morning of May 2nd in Pakistan. Two stealth helicopters carrying the Navy SEALs took off from their base in Afghanistan. They flew low over the mountains, staying silent and invisible in the night sky. Inside the helicopters, the soldiers were quiet and focused, checking their gear one last time. They were heading toward the compound in Abbottabad. Back in Washington, D.C., President Obama and his team gathered in the White House Situation Room. They watched the events unfold in real time through a live video link from a drone flying high above the compound. As the helicopters approached the target, a problem occurred. One of the stealth helicopters began to fail. The pilot managed to land it safely inside the compound walls, but it was a rough landing and the helicopter was damaged. This was not part of the plan, but the SEALs were trained for unexpected events. They quickly got out of the damaged helicopter and began the raid. The second helicopter landed outside the compound as planned, and another team of SEALs entered the property. Despite the crash, the mission was still on. The element of surprise was crucial, and they had to move fast. The SEALs moved systematically through the compound. They went from room to room, securing the area. They encountered several men who were armed and resisted the soldiers. In the brief firefights that followed, these men were killed. The SEALs also found women and children in the compound, and they made sure to move them to a safe location away from the fighting. Their main target was on the upper floors of the main house. The soldiers moved carefully up the stairs, knowing that the most dangerous part of the mission was still ahead. They were getting closer to finding the man they had searched for so many years. Finally, on the third floor, the SEALs found him. Osama bin Laden was there, in a bedroom with one of his wives. He was not armed, but he was considered a threat. The SEALs confronted him, and in a very short and intense moment, bin Laden was killed. The soldiers quickly confirmed his identity. They had found their target. The main objective of the mission was now complete. They carefully collected his body to take with them for final identification. They also gathered computers, documents, and other materials that could contain valuable intelligence about Al-Qaeda's plans and network. The raid inside the compound lasted less than 40 minutes. With Osama bin Laden's body secured, the SEALs had to get out of Pakistan. The helicopter that had crashed could not be flown. To keep its stealth technology a secret, the soldiers decided to destroy it. They planted explosives and blew up the damaged aircraft before leaving. The entire team, along with bin Laden's body and the collected intelligence, boarded the remaining helicopter and a backup helicopter that had been called in. They flew back to Afghanistan, leaving the burning wreckage behind. The mission was a success, and every single American soldier returned safely. It was a testament to their incredible skill and bravery. Later that same night in Washington, D.C., President Obama addressed the nation and the world. He spoke from the White House in a live television broadcast. He announced that the United States had conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda. He explained that justice had been done for the victims of the September 11th attacks. President Obama praised the intelligence professionals who had worked for a decade to find bin Laden and the brave special forces who carried out the dangerous raid. His announcement confirmed the news that many people had waited a long time to hear. The news of bin Laden's death spread quickly across the globe. In the United States, crowds gathered outside the White House and at Ground Zero in New York City, the site of the former World Trade Center. People were cheering, waving American flags and singing. There was a great sense of relief and celebration. For many, it felt like a chapter had finally closed on the tragedy of 9/11. In other parts of the world, reactions were mixed. Many world leaders expressed their support for the mission, while others were concerned that the raid happened inside Pakistan without its permission. The killing of Osama bin Laden was a major turning point in the fight against terrorism. It did not end the threat of Al-Qaeda completely, but it was a huge blow to the organization. The mission showed that the United States would go to great lengths to bring terrorists to justice, no matter how long it takes or where they hide. The raid on the Abbottabad compound will be remembered as one of the most significant and daring special operations in modern history. It was the result of years of patient intelligence work and the courage of a few elite soldiers who risked everything in the dark of night.